right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA off-season video. It won't be the off-season for long though, because we are close enough to the season where they have released the schedule for every team. They've released some key dates, some key matchups, NBA Cup stuff, obviously, Christmas Day game stuff as well. So I want to talk about maybe all 30 teams, maybe. Obviously, the marquee teams that are going to be playing on those key dates we'll talk about as well. And then next month, when we get even closer, obviously, I'll do my NBA preseason predictions where we'll get into the schedule a little bit more for each team as we work our way through the NBA. But for today, I want to go through basically the schedule, key dates, all that stuff. So if you like what I've said, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. I do want to say a video was supposed to go out yesterday. I did have an issue with my recording software, so that wasn't possible. I jumped through so many hoops to try to make it work, and I just couldn't make it work. Today, though, we are here. I have changed some settings, so if I sound different, if something looks different, please let me know. Or if it's all the same, that's a good thing, so you guys wouldn't have noticed if I didn't say anything. So let's get into it. So first things first, who has the most nationally televised games? That is the question, because there are a lot of good teams this year. Obviously, you have the New York Knicks, one of the biggest markets, NBA champions now. Do they have the most nationally televised games? It's pretty close across the board at the top. Let's start with I guess, the how many teams are here? Let's see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Around 10 to 11 teams are here. Um, the Miami Heat at 25 have 25 nationally televised games, with Giannis, Bam, and those guys down in Miami. And then in Boston, the Celtics have 27, tied with the Timberwolves, 27 as well. Um, Celtics, Jason Tatum, and Paul George. Yeah, I could have done with maybe 27 Heat games versus 27 Celtics games, to be honest. um, Obviously, the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, the rest of the guys there, 27, respectable as well. Now, this is an interesting one as well that I probably could have done with 25 nationally televised games. The Warriors at 28, tied with the Denver Nuggets for 28 as well. Um, I think whenever you have Steph Curry, you get the prime time slots, you get some favorable, big games. I don't know if this team is gonna be worth watching at any juncture in the season. I mean, maybe they'll be competitive in like the NBA Cup or something, but 28 seems like a lot. Denver Nuggets, I had them picked as my favorites to win the championship last year, and they let me down greatly. Um, there was a stretch in there where they didn't have Nikola Jokic as well, but they also kept the ball rolling. Um, I don't know how many games I'd want to see the Nuggets play. Maybe two more. Be tied with Oklahoma City, who's above them at 30. Um, yeah, maybe 28. I don't know. Obviously, like I just said, Oklahoma 30 nationally televised games. Um, Two-time MVP, only getting two more games than a former two-time MVP and Steph Curry. Interesting, interesting pick. And then obviously the main teams that are going to get 34 nationally televised games throughout the season. We play 82 or 83 games of basketball in an NBA season. So having 34 games is a lot. That's spread over the course of the whole season. Obviously, if you make it to the NBA Cup, that's an additionally national televised game because it's a national televised game. Um, yeah. So in no order, Spurs, Lakers, Knicks, Sixers all are playing on nationally televised TV or streaming. Is it called nationally televised TV? I guess we'll call it primetime slots, right? Um, 34 times. So the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama. I was just thinking about this yesterday. Victor Wembanyama is in that Steph Curry sort of area now where when Victor Wembanyama's on, I think even for a casual fan, you kind of just want to watch, see what he does for like a quarter or two. Maybe you turn it off afterwards, after a couple minutes. But you're just interested enough because Victor's just such this freak, such this alien where you're like, oh, he hit a three, he had a crazy dunk, he had a crazy block. He's must see TV. So 34 games for Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, really good. The Lakers with Luka and a bunch of the guys, Walker Kessler, Austin Reeves. Yeah, I mean Luka's entertaining as well. I don't know if the team's gonna be entertaining, but Luka's gonna be entertaining. There's a bunch of stuff going on with the Lakers as a whole right now that we'll get into a video later this week, but yeah, 34 games for them. The Knicks coming off a championship, 34, tied with the Sixers again, 34. I don't know if this Knicks team is gonna be as enjoyable as it was in the playoffs, because what they did in the playoffs was so magical. Anything other than that might just seem like business as usual, like they're just getting through the season. And I don't think they need to be the number one seed, so it's not like they're going to be fighting for it. Nor do I think the Sixers above them need to be the number one seed. Would it be nice? Yes. Would it be sort of a mini failure if they didn't be that if they weren't the number one seed? The Sixers I'm talking about, maybe, but like the team as constructed, you don't need to be the number one seed. It's just going to be interesting to see how many of these nationally televised games does the whole team play. Maxey, Joel Embiid, VJ, Jaylen Brown, LeBron. How many of those games are they all playing together? That's another question I have. So yeah, those are the prime time game numbers for primetime teams. I mean, this is who the NBA thinks is like must see TV. So Heat, Celtics, Warriors, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Thunder, Spurs, Lakers, Knicks, Sixers. I mean, are they missing anybody? Obviously, this is only the top 10, so maybe like the 11th team plays 24. And I'm overreacting here a little bit. But if we go look at the standings, who do I think deserves some more nationally televised games? I mean, I can understand why they didn't put the Toronto Raptors there, because we don't know if the Kawhi trade is going through. I believe it's going through at this point. Yeah, I think maybe that's the only one. After last year, I can understand why they don't want Orlando having some nationally televised games like they did. They were bad last year, and then out west, I mean, are the Rockets even here? Yeah, the Rockets aren't even here, so the Rockets getting a little disrespected. Um, the Mavs, I'm surprised they don't have like Cooper Flag and the Mavs on some nationally televised games as well. Maybe closer to 20. We'll see. Yeah, so I mean, I think the NBA got this right with the amount of games, nationally televised games they're giving everybody, or at least the top 10. Now, let's move on. I guess we could. Let me give you some key days first, and then we'll work our way back to opening week or opening day for that matter. So, tip off for the NBA. The NBA season, I guess, would be the 2026-2027 season, right? Begins on Tuesday, October 20th. That is across all the platforms: NBC/Peacock, ESPN, Amazon Prime, or just Prime TV. The NBA Cup starts on October 30th. I feel like the NBA Cup just starts earlier and earlier every year. Knicks won it last year. Will they defend their title? Who knows? That is also on the following streaming services that I mentioned before. Christmas Day, only on ABC and ESPN. Obviously, that's the 25th. So if you celebrate Christmas, or even if you don't, you can enjoy some basketball on the 25th. Martin Luther King Day, they will also be playing some basketball. That is January 18th, right? January 18th, 2027. Feels like a long ways away, but it isn't. That's on NBC and Peacock. Rivals Week, which I'm going to see if I can find the Rivals Week schedule. There aren't a lot of rivalries left in the NBA. Maybe they picked out some good ones. I vaguely remember when they did, because this was like 4 days ago, they put this out. People were saying, like, why is this a rivalry? X and Y team, why is this a rivalry? I'm going to have to look at that and see if I can find it here. That is on all the streaming platforms, like I said. I don't know what the Pioneers Classic is. I think that's something new. I think they started that like either a year ago or 2 years ago now. That's on February 3rd. Sure, I think it's just something to slap their name on. That's on ESPN. And then All-Star Weekend 2027 in Phoenix. I forgot it was in Phoenix. Ooh. February 19th. So yeah, that is all the key dates and where to watch that. NBA All-Star Weekend is on NBC/Peacock and ESPN, so no Prime for that. Um, let's see here. Can I find the Rivals Week? I don't think I have it up, but I think I'll try to find it later for you guys. Let's start with opening week, right? Opening week. So yeah, tip off, like I said, October 20th at 3 p.m., which a lot of people aren't happy about. 3 p.m. tip off to the NBA season. I mean, I'm happy the games are starting earlier, but like for a regular person, starting the season at 3 p.m. is kind of crazy. It's not a crazy game that your guys are going to miss. It's Pistons versus Celtics. I think that's. I hate when they do this. I wish they would just put. It's not so hard to put a little ad on this. I think it's. Yeah, I think the Celtics are in Detroit playing the Pistons at 3 p.m. on October 20th. Um, what do I think about this matchup? And when I say what do I think about this matchup, I'm not giving like predictions who's gonna win. I'm not talking about like necessarily like the nitty gritty. I'm just telling you, is this going to be an entertaining game or not? Um, Maybe I feel like this is like the first game we're going to see Jason Tatum back because he did come back last season. He didn't really look like himself. He looked very tentative on that leg that he tore his Achilles on. I'm hopeful that Jason Tatum can come out on opening day and play some really good basketball and go head to head with Cade Cunningham, Asor Thompson, and all those guys over there. I'm not completely sure the Celtics can win this game, but I think just Jason Tatum versus Cade Cunningham is gonna be really good. So that at 3 p.m. and then the real opening tip off game at 7 p.m. The Knicks hoisting up their championship banner against LeBron and the Sixers in Madison Square Garden. This is the must see TV one at 7 p.m. sharp. Man, oh man. Um, it was once thought upon a time that LeBron would be a New York Knick. And there's rumors circulating that if the Knicks hadn't won a championship this past season, LeBron would be a New York Knick right now. There are those rumors out there. I don't know if I believe that. LeBron has been a Knick so many times. He's also been a net maybe once, or like almost a net once. There are so many things about LeBron that at this point, because he's so old, he's just entrenched in NBA history. But an interesting matchup here. This is obviously done on purpose. Um, LeBron is striving to win another championship for his third team, fourth team, third team, fourth team. Miami, Cleveland, Lakers. Yeah, fourth team. His fourth team. Seeing the Knicks, a team that hadn't done it in forever. The 76ers haven't done it in forever either. Um, Hoisting up that banner. It's got to be interesting. And just aside from like the championship chase that is being presented on this tip off day, the matchups are going to be so interesting. Cat versus Joel. Um, the Knicks sort of losing some of their center depth. So if Cat gets in foul trouble, it's not going to be great. Maxi versus VJ. Maxi versus JB. Jalen Brunson. VJ versus, I guess it would be like Mikal Bridges, right? That's going to be entertaining. LeBron versus OG Anunoby, right? Yeah, LeBron versus OG Anunoby. And then I'm forgetting another New York Knick. Josh Hart, perhaps, maybe even in the starting lineup that night um, to play some defense on Jaylen Brown. It might be a crazy matchup. I'm very excited for that. Obviously, I'll have the 3 p.m. one up if I can. I'll just have it on in the background. But this is the prime time, the prime time game that I think everybody's gonna be watching. This is gonna be one of the most watched games in a while. And as we get past the 7 p.m. time slot, we move to the 9:30 time slot with the two familiar foes, the Western Conference Finals matchup, Oklahoma City versus the San Antonio Spurs. Oklahoma City a bit more depleted this time around, not having the same pieces they did when they last played the Spurs. The Spurs re-upping a little bit and just keeping the same group around. They added Tobias Harris, and the Oklahoma City Thunder haven't really added anything. They've done addition by subtraction because they've had to let go of some players. They kept the core players that they needed to keep around. The big three, which would be not even the big three, the big two, and Shea and Jalen Williams. I don't know how this is gonna go. It's gonna be interesting because we haven't seen a lot of Wemby this offseason, and I don't I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because this time last year we were seeing Victor Wembanyama working out with like those all over the world doing all different sorts of things. He was doing side quests, and we've seen a lot of Oklahoma City. By that I mean like Shea and Jalen Williams working out together. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are very um, they want to get back to the top. I'm not saying Victor doesn't, but at least the Oklahoma City Thunder are like proclaiming it. They're putting it on social media versus maybe he is putting in the work and he's just not showing it off yet. He's waiting until the season starts, which is good. This would be a good matchup as well. I enjoyed this so much in the um, postseason. Obviously, I think we will all enjoy it in the regular season as well. Okay, as we move past opening day, I guess we move on to Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. There are only 2 games each on those following days. So on Wednesday, the 21st, you have Ant Man LaMelo versus Giannis and Bam Adebayo. That's Timberwolves versus Heat. Um, I I don't know if this is a good first game. I'm just gonna assume these might be teams' second games or whatever games because I see the Sixers down here again on Tuesday, so they play on on Thursday. Pardon me, they play on Tuesday and then they play on Thursday as well. So it's gonna be some teams' first games, second games. I'm just gonna do the best I can here at telling you if it's either a team's first or second game. I'm not sure if this is a good first game for the Timberwolves to play Giannis and Bam Adebayo in that group. It's gonna be interesting because the Heat still have some like roster finalization to do. They might get some buyout players here right at the end of free agency, um, or maybe off the players getting waived. Um, I don't know if I don't know if the Timberwolves have something to stop Giannis. I know they have Jaden McDaniels. I know they do. I don't get me wrong. Um, I don't know if that's enough though. uh, I'm not sure if this is going to be a good game. This might be a boxing match where they just trade shots at each other, or Giannis might just play his first game as a Miami Heat and go for like 40 or 50, which would be insane. And then that's at 7:30 on the 21st of October, and then at 10 p.m. on the 21st, you have Warriors versus Lakers renewed. No LeBron, it's just Steph and Draymond versus Luka and Austin Reeves and those guys. And depending on how the season starts or what's going on in like training camp or whatever, and what we start hearing about the Warriors or the Lakers, because we still haven't heard if Luka's in shape. Luka apparently has resolved his off the court stuff with his wife or whatever she is to him, which is good for him. Um, you have the Warriors sort of hopeful that this is a gap year. Their words, not mine. And Yaxel Lenenborg and a couple of the other younger guys can step up and play some big minutes and play some big roles. And I think the Warriors going against the Lakers is a good test for the Warriors. I think overall, I think the Lakers will probably play them pretty well and beat them pretty handily. But who knows? That's the 10 p.m. game in the primetime slot. And then we move to Thursday. LeBron having a full week, opening week. He's going from Philly, and then Cleveland is going to. He's playing for the Philadelphia 76ers in New York for his first game, and then his second game, he's going to be in Philly playing his old team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, on that Thursday, the 22nd. Um, Depending on what the starting game does for the Sixers, whether they win or lose, depending on who plays, they're going to play the opening week. I don't think, unless there's a major injury, everybody's going to play for the Sixers. This is going to be a really good test for the Sixers because this can just put them right above the other echelon of the East. Because the Cavs are like that middle ground of like, they're really good, but they can be really bad in the postseason. If they can beat the Cavaliers pretty handily, I have no worries about this team at all going forward. And then on that same 22nd, you have the Nuggets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, a playoff rematch that has happened a few times now. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray versus, like I said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. um, J Dub, Jalen Williams. This was a good. Was that last year? Was that the year before? I think it was the year before they played in the playoffs, and that was a really good game. That was fun. I don't know what version of the Nuggets we're getting this year. I really don't. I feel like as this team gets older, at some point it just gets worse, and there's gonna be a lot of question marks for the Nuggets coming into this season. Um, I feel like Oklahoma has dropped down a little bit to be closer to the Nuggets, but I don't feel like the Nuggets have moved up at all in the attempt to be better in the West. So this would be a battle of like the West contenders question mark. Um, be interesting to watch. And then the final games of opening week, you have the Knicks heading to Boston to play the Celtics. Depending on what happens on that Tuesday for the Celtics, it might be the start of a long season because the Knicks are going to come out like gangbusters and try to slay some more dragons again in Boston, coming off a championship banner hoisting. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then for the last game, a battle of Texas, the Rockets versus the Spurs at 9:30. Um, I don't think either of these teams have much history. I mean, you sort of have like the underlying like Alperen Şengün versus Wemby, but I don't feel like that's been as like televised as like Wemby versus Chet Holmgren on the Oklahoma City Thunder side of things. Um, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game. It's on Prime, so I mean, if you don't have Prime, you don't have to watch it. But um, yeah, I don't know about this game. Maybe we could have snuck somebody else in here besides the Rockets. And I know I just said in my previous section of this video that I thought the Rockets should have more nationally televised games, but maybe not this one. I don't feel like this one has any like implications of an opening week. Maybe that's why it's because it's the last one. But yeah. Anyway, let's see what else do we have here. Anything else? Anything? We got Christmas Day. Um, Christmas Day we could talk about. We have let me see. We're not going to talk about the NBA Cup. I mean, no, we'll talk about the NBA Cup another time because that's a whole different thing. Sometimes those NBA Cup videos they do really well, and sometimes they do awfully. So I'm not trying to bore you guys with the NBA Cup like that. Let me see. So we can talk about some other stuff at the end. So let's just get to Christmas Day since we're here talking about games here. Christmas Day in what the final days of 2026. Yes, that's the right way to put it. In the final days of 2026, Christmas Day. It's a full slate starting at 12 o'clock, obviously ending at 10:30. Um, First up is Spurs versus Knicks. Victor Wembanyama in the Garden playing the Knicks. A finals rematch. They played on Christmas Day, not this past year, but the season before, I think, or even Wemby's rookie year. They played on Christmas Day, and that was a hell of a game. And there's even more stakes, and there's even more storylines on the table now for this matchup. So that's going to be amazing. That's a great way to start the the day, the 25th. It's a great way to do it. Um, then at 2:30, you have Miami Heat heading up to Boston to play the Celtics. The Celtics are such a weird team to me because I just don't know how they're going to look or what they're going to do. And they might, again, this might be a start of a long season for them. Playing the Miami Heat at home, that Boston crowd's going to be crazy, but Giannis is familiar playing in that arena. I don't think he has any problem playing in that arena. So we'll see about that one. Sixers versus Lakers at 5 p.m. in LA. LeBron's return to, I guess, to. Let me see. Is this can't be his first return to um, LA as a Sixer? This can't be right. I'm tripping. Let me see. Let me pull up their schedule. Actually, not the Los Angeles Lakers. I want the Sixers schedule here. Sixers schedule. When is LeBron's first return? They're not waiting all the way to Christmas to do this, are they? I'm looking. No, they are. They're waiting all the way to. I guess it's an East Coast and a West Coast team, so they're only going to see each other like what, twice, three times, maybe. Yeah. Wow. Okay. They are waiting. This is going to be LeBron's first return to LA as a Sixer as an opponent. Wow. Okay, I'm down for that. That's good. That's good. That's good marketing right there. Um, Luca versus LeBron. I feel like the Lakers are gonna get torched in this matchup. I don't feel like they have anybody for Jalen Brunson or Jalen Brown. I don't feel like they have anybody for VJ Edgecombe. I feel like the Lakers are gonna get socked in the mouth in this game at 5 p.m. Crazy. And then it's an interesting one at 8, the second to last game. Um, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder heading to Minnesota to play the Timberwolves. That's an interesting one. I'm gonna have to see how the Timberwolves start the season to call this a good game or not, because they might the Timberwolves always start slow. They're always a slow starting team. Maybe it's different because they've had some different pieces. That it's a bit of a younger team again with LaMelo and Anthony Edwards. I don't know if this is gonna be a good matchup because like the Timberwolves don't have anybody for like Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein. Rudy Gobert for the Timberwolves getting another year older. Oh, excuse me. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to see how the season starts for the Timberwolves because this might be their first real test of like, do they belong in? Do they still belong in the upper parts of the West, fighting for a championship? I don't know. And then lastly, um, you have the Nuggets versus the Warriors. This feels like such an unfair matchup. Is Kristaps Porzingis going to play in this game? If Kristaps plays in this game, I guess it could be entertaining. If they don't, Nikola Jokic is going to drop like 30, 20, and 10 on the Warriors, and that's going to be the end of Christmas. That's going to be the end. Otherwise, maybe Steph could drop like 45 and 10. Maybe that's in the cards as well. But yeah, this is another one where I'm like, I have to see how the Warriors start. If they're just treading water, this is gonna be a game you turn on and you're like full from Christmas Day dinner and you just fall asleep halfway through it and you're like, oh wait, what happened? And you wake up and the Warriors still lost. But yeah, those are your Christmas Day games right there. I do want to go through some of these games, not games, some of these teams, right? And talk about because we're not too far into the video, we're 27 minutes in. I do want to talk a little bit about some of these teams and some of the stretches they have here, playing against some other competitive teams. I was looking at this last night just to get an idea for it, and the Knicks popped out because I felt like they had a weird schedule. It didn't feel like they had any really crazy stretches. I'm going to look at it again right here for you guys. I mean, there is a stretch here. It feels like they only have one really crazy stretch. I'm trying to find it where it was. It might be earlier in the season. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, the only crazy stretch I'm looking at that they have is to start the season. Obviously, playing Philly on the 20th, and then we work our way down throughout the calendar. They're at Boston to play Boston, versus Orlando at home, Detroit at home, their home in MSG. Then they play Chicago, who I think could be sneaky good this season. Then they play Philly again, and then they have a break. They play Brooklyn. Then they play Chicago. Then they play Cleveland. And then they play Milwaukee. And they play Cleveland again. Then they play the Pacers. Then they play Toronto twice. Then they play Minnesota. Then they play Portland. And then they play Indiana again. They play Cleveland, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Milwaukee, Miami, Houston. So all the way from opening day, essentially, there's some off games here where you can like maybe sneak in a little bit of like, we don't have to bring our A game. All the way from the 20th of October till the 16th of December. This is a hell of a stretch to start the season. Hell of a stretch, especially considering you're the champs now and everybody's going to be chasing you and wants to beat you. This is going to be a crazy stretch for them. And this isn't because they're in the East. I was looking at some of the other teams' schedules. I was looking at the Boston Celtics schedule. They don't have a crazy schedule. They have like a stretch of like a couple days where they're playing some tough teams. But this is like a month of like, oh, if it starts bad, it's going to start bad for the Knicks. It's gonna be if there's that championship hangover, it's going to start bad. There can't be one in this season. Um, Speaking of Boston Celtics, let's look at the Boston Celtics here, just to prove my point. Because I did look at this last night when I was kind of tired, so I might have been hallucinating, but I don't think I was. Um, yeah, they don't have any crazy part of the schedule. I mean, there is one here. This is December though. This is like a month into the season. Yeah, there's a month into the season. Um, it starts on December 20th. It's Detroit, Portland, Miami, Cleveland, Chicago, Utah, Portland, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Lakers, Los Angeles, Clippers, Houston, New York, and then it ends on the 13th. So yeah, like that's like a tough, almost 10 games, 10 days of basketball for them. So there's that stretch. But after that, um, it gets easy again. There's some Philly and Indiana back to back, Toronto, Clippers again, Toronto, Los Angeles. It does get a little bit tougher towards the end of the season, but that's because they're going on their West Coast road trips and stuff, and they're playing a lot of away games at the end. So to start the season, it's not terrible for the Boston Celtics. What was the other team? Was it Miami? No, it was Philly. I was looking at Philly. That's who it was. I was looking at those three teams last night. Let's see your schedule, regular season schedule. And again, for the Sixers in particular, there's going to be a lot of resting going on. So there might be some games that they're supposed to win that only like VJ and like Jaylen Brown and Maxi players, or just Maxi and Jaylen Brown. There's going to be some weird games out here, but their schedule isn't crazy either. I'm looking at the beginning. I mean, there is New York, Cleveland, Detroit, Indiana, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Boston, Toronto, Indiana. But then that stops on November. That's the start of the season. Then they go on a bit of like an easier path. They play Memphis a few times, who isn't going to be good. Um, they do have to play Orlando back to back, and then Dallas, which isn't great. Charlotte's here, Houston, Los Angeles. That's the Christmas Day game, and then after Christmas, it starts to break up a little bit. You get like three to four really competitive games, and then you get to like, oh, okay, we can rest a little bit, and then it picks back up again. There's a stretch in here where they play Sacramento, New Orleans, Memphis, two games competitive against Detroit and Boston. Then they play Brooklyn. Then they play New York, Oklahoma, Dallas, and then they go back to playing like Phoenix, Brooklyn, New York, Cleveland, Charlotte, Lakers, Boston. Oh, that's a crazy. Never mind. That's a crazy. February's a crazy month for them. Oh my. They better lock in February. That's a crazy month. There is some rest in here, but February, March, April, Sixers better start the season good. Put it that way. And then West. I mean, the West is going to be the West. It's been so hard to really think about who could win the West because all last season was like, oh, um, Oklahoma just needs to get healthy. They just need to get their guys together, and they were never healthy. And then for once, I mean, Shea wasn't healthy either. Shea missed a couple games, and then as much as like we don't really think about it, San Antonio was only 2 games behind the Thunder for the number one seed. Technically 4 games because they lost. They had 2 more losses than the Oklahoma City Thunder, but it wasn't that far off. Denver was only 10 games behind Oklahoma. Lakers were 11. Houston was 12, and then after you get past 5, it was pretty pretty far and few between here. Obviously, so the play-in as well. But yeah, I think we'll talk about the West and their sort of scheduling, and obviously my preseason predictions later in a couple weeks. And then let's talk about, since we ended on the Sixers in the East, let's talk about the newest Sixer, LeBron James, and some records he could break. Because I think, as much as this probably won't be his last season, I think this will be one of his most, like, I guess, like record breaking seasons. For example, he's only 27 wins away from passing Kareem Abdul Jabbar in all time wins. Um, He's 29 steals away from passing Gary Payton for fifth most steals in NBA history. 76, crazy how that happened. 76 assists away from passing Jason Kidd for third most in NBA history. And yeah, and I believe I saw something that was like DeMar DeRozan and Steph Curry are also like very close to passing. I think it's Carmelo Anthony on the scoring list, which is crazy. Um, Both still active. They're going to be fighting for that this season, so you can get there first. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to hop on here, talk about the beginning of the NBA season and what's going to happen. I mean, we still have the plan to talk about. Um, we can talk about preseason predictions here in a couple weeks. I will spend probably all next month doing that, doing my research, talking about that stuff. Um, I do have some other topics that we'll get to later this week. I've been teasing them. I guess I'll just say them here at the end. If you listen this long, you get to know what's coming. I do want to talk about the Russell Westbrook retirement. That will probably be the next video on this channel. That will probably be on Wednesday or tomorrow or Thursday. And then the Friday video will be one of either the Lakers stuff that's going on with their sale or the Clippers stuff that's going on that seems like it's been resolved but really hasn't. It's going to be one of those two things. But definitely the next video will be Russ, something a bit lighter, probably a way shorter video than what this has been. But this is one of my shorter videos to start with over the past couple weeks. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm getting excited for the NBA season. I hope you guys are as well. If you want to, I guess, just interact with basketball that's actually going on, you can check out my WNBA stuff as well. I would really appreciate that. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the WNBA aside from like all the base, like surface level stuff. There's really great basketball being played, so I think you guys would enjoy it if you listen to my NBA stuff. Come over, check out my WNBA stuff. You can click the playlist on the right over here. You can check out the video on the left. It actually might be a WNBA video, so if you want to get a little taste for the WNBA stuff that I talk about, you can check that out. And if you click my little icon right in the bottom middle of the screen, a little subscribe button will pop up and you can subscribe with ease. And you, yes, you listening, could be the 23rd or 24th subscriber. Like and comment as well, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.